Hello and welcome back to Ground Level Theology. You guys already know we are in part two of AI. Let's dive right back in. So last week, folks, we're just diving right back into this. You know Dave's already here. Uh, you want to say hello, Dave?
Hi.
Yeah, we're just diving back into it, folks. We have so much content here today, so let's jump in. Last week we talked about AI, the definition, all of that stuff, and even its limitations. I sort of wanted to interact a little bit with AI actually. And so to kind of display the limitations a little bit and even how amazing AI can be, I want to bring up actually a chat GPT and then even show you guys the, what is it? Is it this one? Sorry. Oh, it is this one. I'm sorry, folks. Let me just fix this real quick.
AI would have had this.
I literally fixed this too, and this is so embarrassing because I had this already ready. Alrighty, so let's just have that right there. All right, so what I'm gonna do, folks, is I'm gonna ask it to, and this is it. This is I'm gonna place this right here. This is an open system, sort of closed. It's based on Chat GPT, so they don't allow everything open. They sort of have boundaries that they set, sort of like Facebook. You can't just post anything. They have their own sort of closed system that's pretty open. And so when it comes to apologetics, you guys know Gary Habermas, that's my boy. I take after him. But I wanted to display the limitations of AI by typing in this question. What are the six minimal facts um, by Gary Habermas? All right, fair enough. Pretty simple. He's done a lot of literature on this. And so ChatGPT is going to say Gary Habermas, a prominent Christian apologist and philosopher, often presents what he refers to as the minimal facts argument for the resurrection of Jesus Christ. These minimal facts are historical data points that are widely accepted by scholars across the theological spectrum, including many who do not necessarily hold Christian beliefs. The argument goes that these facts provide a solid historical basis for the resurrection of Jesus. While the specific list may vary a little from different presentations, here are the six commonly cited minimal facts. And so I'll just say the minimal facts apart from the sort of explanation of them. One, Jesus' death by crucifixion. True. Two, the empty tomb. We'll come back to that. Three, post resurrection appearances. True. The transformation of the disciples. True. Under that should actually be number five. Paul's conversion. And so we'll just say the transformation of the disciples. Paul's conversion should actually be James as well. And then early Christian belief, which is also true. He does have a synthesized form, which is the six minimal facts, but he has a longer 12 fact version. And so these are essentially them. The one that I wanted to um, highlight is this one here, number two. Uh, ChatGPT will place this elsewhere. I think the last time I did this, it was number five.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
empty tomb. It says the explanation after Jesus' crucifixion, his tomb was found empty by his followers. Now, I don't have anything against the fact that ChatGPT thinks that the empty tomb is a fact, a minimal
I love
fact.
it.
And
Yeah,
that's
it's a
awesome.
fact, yo.
That's where I'd like to push it. But Gary Habermas himself, he defines a minimal fact, his minimal fact approach. A minimal fact is defined by definition. This is the way he defines it. I know I'm saying that a lot, but this is it. Because we're not just talking about a fact that is minimal. We're talking about Gary Habermas's definition of what is defined as a minimal fact. And the definition of that is that which is unanimously agreed upon by consensus of scholars in the relevant field. That means
Mm,
people who have a PhD in religion, New Testament scholarship, Old Testament, any of that stuff. They could be atheist. We enjoy them to be atheist. They could be Christian. They could be agnostic. They could be Jewish. They could be Mormon. They could be whatever it is. We enjoy the skepticism. But it's those people who have a PhD, those people unanimously agree upon these facts. Gary Habermas does not say that the empty tomb is a minimal fact for the reason that it is not unanimously agreed upon. He does use it as an additional fact, but he also does say that it is not a minimal fact. And here, ChatGPT is unable to distinguish Gary Habermas's argument and the foundation for his minimal facts because it is simply drawing information. It's not thinking through. And so that's just a really good example of what we're talking about when we talk about the limitations of ChatGPT. I guess one other thing that we can do to highlight this in apologetics is, let's say, I'll go ahead and put this up for you guys, but we'll put create a argument against. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. I hit the wrong thing.
If you misspell argument,
Yeah.
it's not going to get it right.
Yeah, I got thrown off when I saw that. Create an argument against Gary Habermas's 6 minimal facts. And you guys might be thinking, well, why are you typing that in? I do want to show you that it can generate the opposite side as well. And so what it says as well, Gary Habermas's presentation of the 6 minimal facts aims to provide historical evidence of the resurrection of Jesus. Critics have raised several arguments, counter arguments. So one of them is Jesus' death by crucifixion. The other one is the empty tomb, post-resurrection appearances. It does do that. It's actually, that's a lot better than it did before, actually. All right, no, that's a lot better. I'm not gonna lie, I think it's actually working off of how I've been critiquing it, and I have told it that it's gone about it the wrong way. Um, but I'm actually glad that it fixed that. So, well, there we go.
Anyway, end episode. Nothing. You didn't hear anything.
No, I'm actually really happy because that means that they are fixing it. What it said before, and this was only a few days ago, and I did put a negative review onto it and then explain why it was wrong. So what that tells me is they're constantly tweaking it, and that's good because it's a closed system and they're trying to get towards accuracy. I just wish that they would also fix the minimal facts thing. I also did something in that as well. But what it did before is as an argument against Gary Habermas's minimal facts, it would talk about the unreliability of the New Testament Gospels and those sources. And the thing is, Gary Habermas's foundational argument is that we don't hinge on the reliability of the Bible because these are the minimal facts. So
You
atheists
wouldn't
don't
even use
think
that
it's
as an
the
argument.
Bible. Yeah, atheists don't think it's the Bible, so why would we use it? He's going based on their arguments and then showing that the resurrection is true. And so just a few days ago, I mean, this is kind of embarrassing, but this is the way it is. And I'm really happy because it's showing that they are actually fixing it. So maybe this is a good thing. But
Well, yeah.
but the limitation is there as well. And so I guess we just showed a limitation that they still haven't fixed, and then something where we can see they're starting to tweak it and hone it back in. And so those are a couple things we just interacted with on ChatGPT that are just live, and you can kind of see the limitations being drawn out there. That there's a small body of work that it's trying to draw out from, and it's flawed because it can't think through what it's saying.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Well, even think about. I mean, AI doesn't know that it's wrong. The programmers need to know that something went wrong.
Yeah.
And by nature, the fact that you get a response and you have the option to, it's like a circle where it's like, send me a new one, refresh,
Yeah.
because I don't like how you did it, or a thumbs up or a thumbs down. AI, if it was really intelligent, wouldn't need you to give it feedback,
Yeah.
because it would either know that it's right, or if you gave feedback, it would immediately respond, like, oh, what was negative, and like, as opposed to it's for the programmers to know.
Mhm.
That way they know, hey, our AI is actually putting out correct information and not just information, but
Yeah.
accurate. Yeah, I think I don't know if well, maybe it was what we're talking about another time. Artificial intelligence doesn't mean accurate intelligence.
Yeah. No.
Like
It
it's
just
just art. It's just information.
Mhm.
And you still have to vet it.
Yeah, it's collaged information.
Mm, yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
And so
Um,
I did want to show you guys that a little bit so you can see in real time kind of what it's able to do. I mean, Dave, you gotta admit, if I was to tell you write down Gary Habermas's 6 minimal facts, I don't think we could produce what we just saw that quickly, right? I mean, that's a pretty good
no,
list. I wouldn't get the empty tomb wrong, however, but it did it
no,
real quick.
right.
And
Just well, like if you just going up to a person, like, let alone minimal facts. Hey, ever heard of Gary Habermas?
hmm
Like, not everyone reads him. You and I
yeah,
have, and we've interacted because that's what we do.
yeah,
But
we're
it's
the
like,
weirdos.
yeah, but we're not going up to like, hey, ever heard of so and so, renowned underwater basket weaver? He came out with an autobiography about his, upbringing in Transylvania off the coast of Australia,
hmm
or not Transylvania, Tanzania. And it's like, I said Tanzania, it's Tasmania. Y'all, I am acting like Chat
Wait,
GPT over here.
I'm just surprised that there's actually a person. I thought you were just making this up, but you're over here trying to recall it properly.
No, there's not an actual dude, but I'm just trying to remember the actual island that's part of Australia. It's not Transylvania. It's
Oh.
not Tanzania. Okay, it's
Oh man, you
Tasmania.
sold me. I was like,
See,
whoa, okay, there's a real person. Like,
yeah,
he must have
dude.
this in the
Yeah,
back pocket.
yeah. Seriously, like, yeah, he's allergic to Febreze. Just like, no, but like, see what
About
I
to
mean?
give a
Like,
social security number here in a
I
second.
know. Yeah, you have, but you have to still read it.
Yeah.
You have to vet it where you know. I don't know. There's you could Google, tell me about insects, Chat GPT, and they tell you about some insect that exists in Uruguay and you've never seen it before, even though it is an insect.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? So I'm
Well,
just
see,
saying it can be helpful or hurtful.
that's sort of the I mean, exactly. It can be helpful or hurtful. And that's sort of the interesting thing about what's going on with it now. I mean, you sort of have this raw potential that is AI, right? It can do these things at a speed at which you and I cannot. It can
Right.
generate images in a mere matter of 28 seconds that would take us weeks.
Yeah, that's
And
insane.
yeah, it can write things in a matter of seconds that would take us hours
Right,
at our
right.
best. And so it's wonderfully powerful. In what we want to do is we want to somehow harness that power to be used in a way that we want. And so there's a few ways that that the world's trying to use it currently, and we're using it a lot in the closed system aspects. I know you folks that are listening probably have interacted with AI in some form. I think the most like archaic form is you go maybe to your insurance company or something for customer service, and you end up on an online
Mm.
chat, right? And it's like, hey, this is your chat feature. What seems to be your problem? And then you type something in and it directs you. And the entire time
Dude,
you're not
it
speaking to a person. It's an AI bot trying to direct you to wherever you need to go. That insurance company or something has invested in a closed AI system where it can direct you to where you need to go and resolve these problems. You've already been interacting with a closed AI system. Now, it's not going to go tell you off as you get really mad at it or anything because it doesn't have those inputs. But we do have corporations that are already integrating AI into everyday life and kind of facilitating that. Now, there's some positive and negatives. I mean, it's great that you can do that. You can be streamlined in a way so that it's 24 hours, but at the same time, Dave, you and I, we're always thinking about the little guy, right? And so,
Yes,
I mean, it is going to cost people jobs at the same time. Um,
definitely. Oh, 100%. The
yeah.
person, I took that personally. Yeah,
Well,
not me,
it's
but
also going to
I know.
create jobs. So maybe you need to get into AI systems in sort of repairing
Oh,
and stuff if you want to pick up that job. But
yeah, that's
um,
gonna be a movie on Netflix. Yeah, I lost my job because of AI, and then I infiltrated and I became an AI programmer, and then I killed off the interface that took my job. like, like no, and it's not just like the little paper. I was laughing earlier. I'm not trying to be funny. I just think of like when we had like those old Dell computers or Microsoft, and you had this little paper clip, that pop up
oh yeah,
on the screen to go, "Hey, I'm here if you need help."
you
And it's
sure
just,
that's spelled that way, buddy?
yeah, exactly. It's like I noticed you didn't look at the red line underlining your word.
Let me just scroll back up there for you, buddy.
Add to dictionary. And it's just like add to dictionary because you don't know theological terms.
Oh, yeah, folks, that's a
Ignore
huge
once.
thing for us because
Yeah,
we have a lot of terms that are not viewed as words in Microsoft Word.
right. And so you add to dictionary, but that's the one of the positive sides of AI.
Mhm.
It's it's one of those things where it doesn't learn on its own, but it is always learning in the sense because it's available to be programmed and reprogrammed and to restart and reboot and be refreshed. And so it might come across like I've never come across that term before. It's okay. Boop 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 boop. Now you know it because I programmed you to now be able to look for that word and you know what it means. And
Yep.
so it can have a lot to offer, and it's way easier to have a program that doesn't get sick, doesn't have to call out of work, has a much closer eye for detail than like the average human, where you don't have to pay them or give them vacation time, or they get sick, or they have complaints to HR,
Yeah.
and so and they might catch more stuff, and so the company can save money, they can save a lot of heartache, a lot of time, and then the money they save from the people that they let go, they can use those funds to put even more into whatever research and development for
Yeah.
this AI product.
Yeah, so that's just one way that it's being implemented already. A few other ways that it's being implemented. Schools are trying to implement them. We have I think at least
100%.
two that I know of that have already integrated AI in some
Yeah, no, a
capacity.
couple.
One of them just one of them is just like the customer service way that I just talked about. I think it's as far as like customer service or the registrar. So if you need help with that. It will direct you and sort of advise you. So as like an academic counselor, if this is your degree, here are the things that you should be taking. Kind of getting rid of some of that stuff where you don't necessarily need one person full time always just delivering that same information. So schools are trying to implement it in that capacity, but another way that schools are actually trying to push the boundaries when it comes to AI and what it can provide in an academic setting is that schools are trying to develop a closed AI system in which the AI can assist in an online classroom. And so it won't be doing the reading or the grading, at least not yet. But there's still
Yeah.
the necessity of the professor. But the AI will help in the online program in being able to be interacted with as far as the course material is required. And so the student will be able to read the material, engage in the discussion boards and stuff. And when it has questions regarding the course material, it can interact with the AI and get feedback real time regarding the course
Mm.
material. And so schools are looking into that, sort of that tutor side. You didn't
Yeah,
quite
no
get
more
this.
teaching assistant. Yeah, no more
Exactly.
TAs.
So in all an AI needs to be able to do that is a professor or the course material, right?
Just
Because
give them a rubric.
yeah, when it
Yeah.
understands all the data points, it can accurately regurgitate that back to someone. And so
No half credit. Yeah, you get half
right.
a point.
So yeah, that's just another way that schools are looking to integrate that into their academic world. And so AI really is starting to change the field for the better. Those are some great things that are taking place. Depending on your perspective. Uh, so I mean that's the practical implications of AI here today, and it's going to continue to branch further and further out into our world. As we continue to look at more ways that AI can provide service for us, we're going to see it kind of penetrate further and further into our lives. And I wouldn't be surprised if banks are already using AI, and we're going to have AI tellers very soon because they've already kind of pushed tellers outside and
Mm.
are forcing us to interact solely with ATM machines. So I can see that in the future as well, in some of those industries. So AI is certainly elbowing its way in, and I don't think that there's a way to stop it, but I do think there is a way to kind of grab the bull by the horns and ride it. And so
Hmm.
I that's sort of a gray area that we just covered, and purposely so.
Yeah.
Because we talked about its limitations, we talked about what it could provide, some of the good things, but there's a dark side to this too. And
Yeah.
Dave, you and I both know there's some negative things that both are coming out of AI, and there's some negative things that can take place with AI. And so we can kind of get into the dark side of AI, and one of those is the sheer inputs of the person interacting with it, right? If you are
Right.
trying to have images generated not of your favorite comic book character or uh, maybe Jesus punching Satan or something, or whatever image you're trying to look for, um, and have it develop. But now if you're trying to input like someone murdering another person or
Right.
child pornography or something like
Yep.
that, um, you would be generating a pornographic image. Now, right now, there are those boundaries being set up so that AI won't generate that.
Right.
But that is something where we have a caution too, because we've actually seen that as well.
Well, yeah. And it's even brought up like, hey, like, or you, like, if you have someone that types in like blah blah blah, do this, and it's like, oh, that's not within my programming confines to do that. It's like it's scary that you have people program it. We have to program it to say no because we
Yeah,
know people are going to ask it to,
right.
and that's messed up. And
Yeah.
it's
And
just, it's
I mean,
open.
yeah, I've even seen it with that because it actually won't generate images of Jesus. It won't
Wow.
generate images of people. Um, I wanted to have it generate an image of Jesus doing something, and it just said like it won't do that. Um,
Right.
I mean, it's good. There's those boundaries already being set. Um,
Right.
it, but
But
that's because people are already pushing the boundaries.
correct.
And
Exactly. We
so
love to do that, don't we?
I mean, Dave, you and I both know it. You more so, and with the tulip, but people are
Yeah.
totally depraved. And
Amen, brother. I'm just kidding. I'm just
and
messing. No,
when you
it's
have
just
a
yeah.
totally depraved person at the helm, of
Uh,
this potential generating device to go with wherever he wants, he's going to try and take it to the negative. And so that's sort
correct.
of the darker side of AI is the people at the keyboard.
Uh-huh.
The inputs that they could be putting into a closed system or an open system are also that as well. And yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's some examples that have happened too.
100%. Because it's not just like, you open up Chat GPT and more than just like a dictionary where it's like, or like really like an encyclopedia. It's nice that like unlike Google or Bing or whatever search engine you use, and you're just, asking it a question and then you just find all the information that is out there and you still have to kind of go through all the links and all that stuff. Chat GPT answers you as if you were like asking a leading expert on it.
Yeah.
So not like, hey, what year did the band, you know, whatever, Led Zeppelin form? You know, you could ask even deeper questions and just find information like, well, what were the names of the founding members and why did they even want to start a band in the first place?
Hmm.
Like if you Googled that, maybe you get an interview, maybe you get a journal article that you got to read through. ChatGPT would be like, name all the members and be like, this is why they wanted to get together, and this is why that album's named this album, and it just goes off,
Hmm.
and it's really helpful because it's like an encyclopedia, and even more than an encyclopedia, all very very quickly. You don't have to think much about it other than reading it, and that's
Right.
why it's scary in a positive sense of how you could type in Gary Habermas. It got it needs a little tweaking, but the majority of it, I'm like, man, like I wonder if I asked like ChatGPT, what must I do to be saved?
Let's do it.
Um,
No,
yeah.
let's do it. I mean, we have it.
Oh
Let's
gosh. Well, part of me because I just know if I can find out that how quickly though you can turn that negative and just be like, yeah, make me a fake girlfriend that
yeah,
won't break up with me or something,
yeah, type this in.
But yeah, here, yeah, what does it say? What must I do to be saved? I cannot answer that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
But
let's see.
just to play
Um,
with it, y'all. Let's see.
let's see. I'll go ahead and read it for the people on Spotify. The question of what one must do to be saved is fundamental to many religious and philosophical traditions, and the answer varies depending on one's religious belief. In
Okay.
Christianity, particularly within Protestantism, there are different perspectives on how one attains salvation. I'm going to not read the whole thing, but I'll give you the bullet points. Faith in Jesus
Dude.
Christ, repentance and baptism, good works. Oh, let's read that. While
Okay,
most
yeah.
Christians agree that salvation is a gift of grace through faith, received through faith, there is debate about the role of good works. Some believe that genuine
Catholic.
faith
Okay.
naturally produces good works as evidence of salvation, James 2:14 through 26, while others caution against relying on good works for salvation, emphasizing that salvation is based solely on God's grace.
Okay, it's got like Roman Catholic versus Protestant.
Yeah. And then
Mm.
fourth, God's sovereignty.
Yeah, let's
Let's
go.
read that. Within Calvinism, there's an emphasis on God's sovereignty and salvation, with the
Oh,
belief that God chooses and predestines individuals for salvation based on his own will rather than human
no
actions. This
kidding.
perspective is based
No
on
kidding.
passages such as Romans 9 and
Nine
Ephesians
feet.
1.
Dude, this is insane.
Ultimately, the
I'm
answer to the
sorry.
question of salvation depends on one's interpretation of scripture and theological beliefs. It is essential to individuals to explore and understand their own faith tradition. Okay. So,
I don't like the last paragraph, but yeah, but I
yeah,
mean,
it sort of punted there
bro,
at the end, though.
it did punt. That's why we have to read through it.
Yeah,
But like, I like more than I dislike. That is for
yeah.
sure. It's definitely when I'm like, man,
It's
they brought
impressive.
like, I mean, faith in Jesus was number one. Like, it's not like even it's an apologist or an evangelist, but I mean, faith in Jesus was number one.
So sorry,
They even
folks.
brought up Romans 9 and Ephesians 1, dude. Look at that. I mean, specified within Calvinism, but they brought it up. Oh, good.
So folks, I haven't brought this up yet.
What? AI
Yeah. So
apologist. This is fun.
all right,
Okay.
folks. Let me I guess this is a now an introduction to something that I've been crafting. We've been talking about open and closed systems. We've been interacting with Chat GPT, which is a little bit more open.
Hmm.
Um, it's closed, but it's a little bit more open than anything that is kind of out there. It's open with boundaries. Um,
I'm so
so
sorry. I'm not trying to laugh. Like, that's just open
so
with boundaries. Always
yeah.
sounds like it's
So
okay.
what
It's closed with doors.
so what I have right here that Dave can see on the screen, I have generated an AI of my own. It is not open to the public just yet because I'm still sort of tweaking the data points. This is really interesting because you can actually
What in
develop
the heck?
your own closed AI system. And all you do is
Whoa, whoa.
put in
This
a
is
sentence.
insane.
Yeah, so what I did,
Surprise. What?
I wanted to I wanted to explore and break the
Dude.
boundaries. And so I said, okay, you can create your own AI closed system using AI. Okay. Well, generate for me an AI apologist for atheists to interact with. So I'll go ahead and put this up now.
Let's,
It
let's
is, I
go.
titled it the
Let's see.
AI apologist. A little pun there.
Alpologist.
And I've been tweaking the responses, so that's why I haven't put it up um, to be interacted with the public just yet. And so I asked my AI apologist, what must I
Oh
do to be
no.
saved? And it says to address your question from a Christian perspective, which includes the use of the Bible as a historical and spiritual document, the concept of salvation generally revolves around faith in Jesus Christ. According to
Mhm.
passages such as Ephesians 2 8 through 9, salvation is understood to be a gift from God that cannot be earned through works, but is received through faith in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. The faith is characterized by the acknowledgement of one's sin, repentance, and personal commitment to follow Jesus. This process often involves several key steps as outlined in the Christian faith, and I'll go ahead and just read them here as bullet points, not the explanation. Acknowledgement of sin, repentance, belief in Jesus Christ, confession of faith, baptism. And then I'll read the ending there. It is important to note that these steps are not seen as check boxes that guarantee salvation, but rather as aspects of genuine faith journey. Different Christian traditions might emphasize different aspects of the process, but the core belief is Jesus Christ as the path to salvation is central. For exploring these questions, engaging with a community of believers, such as a local church, can provide support, guidance, and further understanding of what it means to follow Jesus. What do you think of
Okay.
that, Dave?
Like honest reaction, right? Like
Yeah.
aside from maybe having to clarify a little bit on the good works part
Hmm.
of ChatGPT, like honestly, if I could kick out the good works part
Yeah.
and I could take the last two paragraphs of AI apologist and put it on ChatGPT's, it's gonna be. I mean, like they're just like, dude, it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty
And
like you emphasize or this emphasizes the confession as well, which kind of comes maybe ChatGPT had that like also the acknowledgement of sin. That was a big thing, like not just having faith in Jesus, but like I have a sin problem and that's why I even need Jesus.
yep.
Because we didn't read all the explanations. But
Hmm.
I mean, pretty remarkable that like we can just be like, hey, let's ask the ominous it. But like,
Yeah.
let's ask it this question. And it didn't give me a response that I was like, oh, this is just, yep, nope, no one's going to get saved reading that. It's actually like, hey, like, first answer was you need faith in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Explicit. That's exactly what I would want to tell someone if they asked me that question. Oh, you're a sinner, man. You need to repent and you have faith in Jesus.
Hmm.
like like that's it. That is amazing. And then you with all the cool, hey, let's ask mine. I didn't know you were working on the sorry, y'all. Like I'm trying
Well,
to keep my cool on here, and he
I'm
pulls this up like
I'm
live.
researching this, right? Like I want to
Yeah, yeah,
be
yeah.
informed when we come to the subject, which is why I'm bringing so much out about it. I mean, I'm really I have
Right,
my hand inside the hood, under the hood. I have my hand inside there, and
right,
I'm trying to
right.
figure it out myself. And folks, let me just say this. I mean, Dave and I,
This is
we're
not
both,
exhaustive, right?
yeah, we're both integrated into it. We're both trying to figure out as much as we can because as pastors, we're stretched every different way, and we have to know a little bit about everything. Um,
Hmm.
we have to be the first ones. We have to be the pioneers on something so that we can give you guys the information. A lot is not known about AI. I mean,
A
there are
ton.
people that are packing conventions of tickets that are sold for $1,000 or $2,000 a seat, for a 40-minute talk, a TED talk essentially on AI. Like, there's not a lot known about AI because it's so new, but what we do know, we're expanding and we're working on, and so this information is kind of hard to come by, and so we have our own limited set of knowledge, and we're really trying to get this out to you guys, right? We really want you guys to know this stuff so that you can integrate and work with and even be some of the pioneers and maybe the shepherds of AI out there, because we certainly need those. And so that's why we're doing this. But kind of bringing it back, yeah, I have my AI apologist. I constructed my own, and I've been tweaking it. And the reason why mine is different from Chat GPT's is because my AI apologist is not just geared towards having theological apologetical conversations with an atheist, kind of dismantling their arguments and responding, commending God. But I've also, in the closed system, I've also integrated the data points, the inputs that it wants to drive the conversation to a conversion, right? And
Mm,
so the response of what must I do to be saved is sort of part of the integral process of what the AI apologist is there for. Because, we don't take away from apologetics that we're just here to
gosh,
defend,
it's
right? We're here
awesome.
to
Yeah,
commend. And
and
so that's
offense.
that's why
Yeah.
it has this, where Chat GPT says, here's a couple things that are debated that you can do to be saved, but we don't really know, so go figure it out. My AI apologist is here to say, here are some steps that you can take and
Mm.
go to the church. Notice that it said go
Right.
to a church.
Exactly.
That's something
Like,
I've integrated as well to commend not just someone to Christ, but to be integrated into a body, a live body, not stuck here at Chat GPT, not stuck here at AI Apologist, but to get into a physical church and a body. And so that was programmed in by me. So
uh, you're not artificially intelligent.
exactly. And it's going to take people like us to make it
Mm.
AI actually somewhat good. So
Oh,
AI is not, it thinks on its own, it develops and all this other stuff. AI depends on us.
ah. So would you? So then when we think like if and now we're like maybe we can take another step when we've weighed some of its limitations. We've talked about how like it can be used for some good things, some harmful things. Like yeah, you're trying to generate images that you should not generate.
Hmm.
Uh, your academic like even Amber, my wife getting her MBA, they have a policy on their academic catalog that like, hey, if you use AI, ChatGPT, whatever platform, you have to cite it. You're allowed to use it, but please cite that where we would know. Kind of like even when you still cite a paraphrase when you're writing a paper, it's like,
Hmm.
hey, this is not a direct quote, but I want to let you know that this is not original information to me.
Yeah.
I'm making it flow, but it's not. Hey, this was David's idea. That you actually have to cite it for your homework. You can't have it write your entire paper, have it do a part of the paper. Don't, you know, I've even seen also ripple effects, the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix.
Right.
Yeah, guys that like, I want the AI girlfriend because you're trying to get out of this fake, you know, interface what you're supposed to be getting out of your relationship to your girlfriend or to your spouse, your wife.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to use this to replace what you're not getting in your marriage as opposed to trying to work on your marriage.
Right.
And like that's really bad. And so the church, I think we need to talk about it because we could see it being used in the harmful sense. And it's like we got to get our people ready to like, hey, like this is not what the Lord would want you to use. This is not the avenue
Yeah.
to, escape those things. And at the same time, AI apologist, it's encouraging us to look for a local body. It's telling us like, hey, this is, kind of like to wet your whistle and to answer the question, but not be the end all be all.
Yeah.
And so, like, what if you had a church? Like, I'm just trying to be practical. If like I'm at St. Paul's Church, I don't have an office assistant. Okay, like I'm the only person paid on staff at my church, and then I have 3 elders that volunteer. All my ministry leaders are volunteers. No office assistant.
Hmm.
So if I'm not taking the phone call, no one's taking really a phone call. If I don't double check the email, no one's checking the church email. And like when it's kind of like what your school like or a school's registrar where it's like, "Oh, for what reason are you calling today?" If
Yeah.
it's for hours, press 1. If it's for, to
Or
speak
can
to
I
speak to an
take a
employee,
message down for
yeah,
you,
press
or something like
2.
that.
Right. And when it's kind of convenient to be able to have like that feature.
Hmm.
And so really I think what it comes down to, like, if we're going to use it in our churches, yes, no, what do you say, Pastor Dave? What do you say, Pastor Mike? It's like, well, which AI are you using, and what are you using it for?
Yep.
I think that's like, a big, what if? But like, if you're using it for good things, I hope you get only good results. But if
Right.
not, I can't promise you anything.
And that's the
Uh,
thing. It's a sword. It can be
Right, right.
used by a good person, it can be
Well said.
used by a bad person, and it can be used in a good way, it can be used in a bad way to harm.
Mm,
And so AI is very much that. It has a lot of potential to do good, a lot of potential to do bad, but it has a lot of potential, right? And so we shouldn't be scared of harnessing that potential. We should be scared of not creating boundaries to
in the right
take it the wrong
direction.
way. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think the church should actually integrate that a little bit, especially in the way that you just said, as sort of a secretary, to kind of get some of that administration stuff. What are your hours? Can I
Find
schedule
your
a
sermons. Yeah, or appointment. Yeah.
yeah, can I schedule a counseling session with you? Maybe you have
Mm,
predetermined open slots that AI knows about because you've
right.
put that in, and so it can schedule that for you. And then maybe even as it schedules a pastoral counseling meeting, it will take some of the preliminary data. What is your name? What is the problem? All this other stuff that you would otherwise just have them fill out a form. And so it can be very useful in that sense.
Yeah, get all them prayer requests compiled. On a
Yeah.
scale of 1 to 10, how important is it that I pray for you? I'm just kidding. That's a joke, everybody. You're all tens, you know it.
Yeah.
Um, but like, and then I don't know. We've been talking for a little bit, but let's go close to home. I know folks that have been affected directly uh, by, it's a catch-22. AI has done such a good job where humans for certain jobs are no longer needed.
Hmm.
Either, you find out that, hey, this AI interface, this artificial intelligence platform is so good that we're actually overstaffed now because it is so efficient and we literally just don't have enough work for this much people
Yeah.
because it has consolidated so much of the workload as a company. And so people get laid off.
Hmm.
or moved to different teams or different departments, whatever, however it works. And
Yeah.
it's like, two questions. Can AI replace us? Like, even can AI sermons be legitimate? Like, hey, welcome to St. Paul's Church. Good morning. Our pastor couldn't be with us this morning, but this is one of his sermons.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
like, but it's not me. It is me, but not me. Like, what if we could compile all the sermons that we've ever written and recorded into an interface, like into
Or
an AI platform, and it just makes one up for us?
or to take it even further, right? We were talking about taking down the pastoral counseling information, all the other stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
much how much of in need are you of prayer? Maybe the AI prays for you. Is that legitimate?
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, right.
Or yeah, sort of. And so there are some definitely gray nuances that need to be covered. Is a AI prayer legitimate? We're going to be
Oof.
talking about, what is it? Ex opera fide. Uh, I forgot
Yeah.
what that Latin is. Based on the faith of the other, or based on your faith? It was used in the
Oh, I think,
context of the early, well, not the early church, early, but
or isn't it like
earlier.
or
Uh,
supra versus infra?
Well,
Like in
I'll just
yourself
say it
versus
in
out of
English.
yourself.
It was based on the controversy of, the priest who would baptized, but he didn't have, he was an atheist maybe, but he wasn't telling people. Is that a legitimate baptism? Because baptism saves you at
Oh,
that time.
operata. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry,
So is it,
operata.
are you saved, even though
Faith.
he was illegitimate? Well, you are based on your faith. But what
Ah, yeah,
about,
it's like the
yeah.
object versus the operative. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm
then
with
the
you.
other version is, well, the faith of the person doing it and executing it correctly makes it valid. So those are the two things. But it's like, yeah, now we're
Mm-hmm.
having that same debate, right?
Ah,
If
right.
AI prays for you, is that a legitimate prayer? Well, if you're reading it and you're taking it in, is your soul actually ascending to God? And then does that
Mm.
make it valid? There's a lot of gray here. We've been
Yeah, like I just know, like, you guys didn't ask for my opinion. I'd be like, You need both." I'd be like, I need you to have the right faith, and then I need to have the right faith.
Mm,
Like, I need to believe that it works while you believe that it works, because my faith is not your faith, and your faith is not my faith. Um, but it's like, also, I'm not trying to get into the weeds, but it's also, my conviction, like Westminster Confession of Faith, the Westminsterian view
mhm.
of, it matters. The person that might be officiating a wedding, a funeral, and especially the person that's administering the sacraments, that they need to be a minister of God, like set apart, called as a minister of God's word, even ordained. They need to be a faithful minister of the gospel. Because if I'm an atheist talking to you about the sign and the seal of the covenant, and I don't give two whatevers about it,
Yeah.
what am I communicating to you? You know, how am I going to
Yeah.
tell you, hey, this is the sign and seal about what we believe, and it has not signed or sealed me, and I don't believe it. And like, how am I going to show you, like, this is a basis for your faith and a stepping stone to help you, encourage you in your faith, if I don't even
Yeah.
like see it as that? And it's not going to really work for you, no matter what I say, if you don't think it is either.
Right.
And
I
so
I
even
agree
if
with that to some extent, but I do think there's an aspect of, because I do think back and forth on it, and like,
I mean,
would
it's
that
tension,
prayer,
right? Like,
it
yeah,
is. And that's, I mean, we're having the, folks, I said this on my sermon on Sunday, and I'm going to say it again.
do it.
If you really want to be able to engage in questions like this, learn Christian history,
Yeah,
because the
yeah.
things that we go through today are just rehashed versions of the old thing. Here we are talking about whether an AI prayer could be legitimate. What did I just say to found the discussion? But it's the same debate that we're having with, is the priest's faith necessary to make the baptism legitimate? It's the same
Mm,
question. And On that subject, just because as I think philosophically, I think, well, based on your faith, he is healed. But then also, if there is no other evangelist there at the point in time, then the AI would be stepping in to deliver the knowledge. Maybe the Holy Spirit's the one that's allowing that to take place so that that prayer is valid only insofar as the person reading it takes it upon themselves as the true thing and is actually
Mm,
reaching out to God in that respect with his heart. And that's where the Lord actually comes down and fulfills all of that. And so, and it's a lot of gray. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
right.
you and I, both theologians, and there's no real answer to this.
Yeah, and it's God, right? Like we're also to
hmm
understand like who's the author and perfecter of our faith.
Right.
It's God, and so He can work. He can perform exceptions as well. We're
Right.
talking about like the norm because
Oh, we're talking
you
about
know,
the
yeah,
splitting hair
yeah,
infinitesimal
exactly.
example, and yeah, that's
Which
where
is
this
fun to
is
talk
really
about.
getting. It is. I
I
hope
love it.
everyone's
That's
enjoying.
theology. That's what we do for like a living. Like
Yeah.
we love to split the hair sometimes. Uh,
So yeah, folks.
but
I mean, the church can definitely make use of it, and there's some things that we're gonna have to be hashing out in the future because I mean, we just talked about this impromptu, but the church is actually going to have to discuss this as well, and probably the same way that it did before. Just real quick, I wanted to cover before we end here, just some cautions. I mean, there is deep fakes out there. People are able to take people's faces
like
and
Taylor
then with
Swift,
AI,
like
yeah, Taylor
huge.
Swift. There was a streamer, gaming streamer. She plays video games. People watch, they interact. It's fun. You get to feel like you're in a room with the people and just have a lot of fun. Someone actually put that streamer's name and asked it to generate a pornographic video of her,
Jeez,
and she found out, obviously it just destroyed her, right? Because it's not her, but
it looks real. Yeah.
it looks legitimate. And
Mm.
not only was that found out, but it was actually found out that a different streamer was watching this. And so he was engaging in that as well. Folks, AI can be used in this negative way. Absolutely, it can. Even more so with deep fakes. What about when it comes to politics? Can you make a deep fake video to where, maybe Trump or Biden is saying something absolutely damning? We have to be on the mend of
Mm.
that. When it comes to the academic world, you can have AI do your homework. You can ask it to generate reports for you. This is happening so prevalently, and it's hard to see because AI is able to write things in a way where it sounds like a human wrote it. It
Yeah,
sounds
it's
like you or I wrote
conversational.
it. Yeah. And so, in response, it's not very good, but the schools have generated a AI detector, and it's actually not that great. So, so
Awesome.
there's that as well. One thing that I said regarding this, though, and I think it's really important to have as a discussion point, is I think that as people integrate AI into the cheating mechanism of their educational experience, what we're
Mm.
going to see is a degrading in culture in their lack of ability to think, to process
Yep.
cognitively, because we will be exporting the cognitive process to AI. And so, one thing that we want to do is kind of guard against that ability. And for professors that might be listening, or school teachers, um, I would just say maybe make people write essays in class. If you're gonna have a final
Blue
paper,
book.
I hate this, yeah, or something like that, but it's gonna have to be a lot more in person, in a closed system, no Wi-Fi, obviously, all of that stuff. But we are getting to that point, and unfortunately, the AI detector's not just it's just not there yet. But it does
Mm.
have some disastrous effects for culture if we don't get on top of it, and if culture decides that it wants to use that in the long term. What are the weird things that I'll just say this real quick and then I'll move on from this point? Philosophically, let's just think about this. The data points are what makes AI good.
Right. Right. Exactly.
the more people use those data points to generate homework reports for themselves and turn that in for themselves, the more they don't use their cognition anymore. So they're bad thinkers, but they will write in the future. They will have their opinions and they will put that into the internet. And so what
Mm,
will happen is
yep.
AI
Oh
will
gosh.
degrade as our society degrades. And so I don't know if you want my foreshadow, if it does go down that route, if we aren't careful about it, and if we're not commending and encouraging real thought, we're going to end up in that movie as Idiocracy. It's just going to be a cycle of
Yes,
degrade.
that's exactly what I thought.
As we degrade, we will bring down AI, which we're still using to write for us, and so we'll slowly bring it down until we don't
Mm,
have a lot of smart people. So that's just sort of one thing that I wanted to say about that. I just had to kind of let that go out there because that's something that I think we should be cautious of. But that is the academic side as well. And so those are some precautions out there just for you folks to know. Dave, do you have anything else to add? Because I feel like I'm all AI'd out.
no, I just, I would encourage everyone just to see this as a tool and not a crutch.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
To see this as something to help you build something you were already building and creating, and not something that you are completely and utterly dependent on. You have to, and it's one of those things where I think you still have to vet AI. Like we did two examples, right? Where we
Hmm.
were looking at ChatGPT. We even looked at AI apologists for two different questions, and we still read through it.
Yeah.
Please do not just copy and paste through life. It was one of my favorite things that one of my English teachers, this is high school, ever told me. Like I remember writing a paper, and it was, it's just a reaction about like what this author thought. And she's like, "You had a great paper, and it was all of the information was accurate. Like you weren't wrong, but what made it a good paper and not a great paper was because you gave me all the facts, you told me what he thought, and not once did you tell me what you thought."
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
like,
true.
she's like, she told me, "I want to know what you think. Like, why did I make you read this? Why does it matter that why did this guy think this way? Why, why am I having you do this? Do you think similarly? Why or why not? Do you not? Do you think differently? Why not?" Like, it's forcing you to interact. And ChatGPT, you guys need to see this. If you ever use it, and I have to just tell this to myself, hey, this is not a crutch. This is not like, man, I'm really stressed this week and I really don't have time to come up with my 3 bullet points, my main points for my sermon. Hey, ChatGPT, if you had to write a sermon on Ezekiel 24, what would you write? And it just gives me my 3 points. And I don't even look to see if they're accurate. I don't even look to see if they fit the context. And I just
Hmm.
plug them into my sermon template, and I go from there, trying to make my text now fit Chat GPT's sermon, as opposed to praying and thinking and going, whoa, 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 I did this all wrong. Take the time, look at the text. Lord, what would you have me to write down and to preach to your people at St. Paul's?
Hmm.
Not Chat GPT's taking all the information in the world and talking about an audience that they know nothing about, souls that they do not pray for or interact with. And that's just sermons. Uh, and so when you write your papers, like that's the whole thing with the homework thing. You're going to copy and paste what Chat GPT thinks, even though it's not really thinking. You're going to write down what it's processing. Write
Yeah.
down what you think. Take the information that you might not have already known and see it as a stepping stone, as a foundation to build upon, and not the house itself with the triangle on top, knowing that that's what the side of the house looks like,
Yeah.
and not the top.
Right.
Okay, if I can use that illustration again.
Hmm.
It's been a week, but
Yeah. And I think what you said just concluded everything perfectly. I mean, at the end of the day, folks, AI is just a processing box. The one thing it is not and could never be is the Imago Dei.
Oh, it's so
Um,
good. So good.
don't don't let the laziness, the sluggardness, dare I be proverbial, um,
Wow. I love it.
allow AI to drag you down. Because what makes us wonderful is the intricacies of our ability to think, process, and be creative in ways that are unimaginable. Quite literally, we have the ability to conceptually go outside of bounds and think of things that are unthinkable, like a unicorn.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it doesn't exist.
But it
We're
does.
yeah, I mean,
But
we
it
were
doesn't.
able to conceptually create it.
Hmm.
Unicorns as a concept exist. And we can create wonderful worlds like Narnia and wonderful characters. We are fantastic beings. And we got
Mm.
to maintain that. With our Imago Dei, we got to maintain the wonderful, wonderful thing that we have, and that is our ability to think, our ability to process, and our ability to imagine. So this has been a episode on two
Mm.
episodes actually on AI, and I think we pretty much covered it as much as I don't know.
We can for now. Yeah.
Yeah, as much as I'd like for now.
I hope so. I hope this is like, yeah. I
Yeah,
hope this is exhaustive.
right. I mean,
But we
I'm
never know.
exhausted.
Yeah, exactly. AI never gets tired. You're
Yeah.
fine.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll just input all our previous episodes and then I'll just have AI do our the rest of the season. Uh,
No, Duffy, there are no child AIs.
oh my goodness.
Sorry, sorry. It's just,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, well,
but
all right,
man,
folks. We hope you really enjoyed this. Be wise out there. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, any of that stuff. We really enjoy the conversation with you guys. We really enjoy when we have that feedback. A lot of you guys give it to us in person as well, and I always enjoy having these conversations, just seeing what you guys got out of it. And I do want to make sure that you guys know that we really do enjoy these episodes, having this conversation with you, and then just being able to offer um, our educated opinion.
yeah, our data
So,
points.
right, to give you our inputs. So,
Yes, closed inputs.
right. Oh man,
Uh,
that's getting too philosophical. Let's jump
yeah,
out of here.
sorry, y'all.
All right,
Yeah,
guys. We will catch you in the next episode. Bye.
for sure.